in retail up until today, the biggest channel is still offline. After COVID, we thought that would stay at maybe 40-50% where it dropped during COVID, but it came back up. And so therefore, at the time, I think people started to understand slowly, all our customers go through the stores, all our revenue goes through the stores, and how can we get our fingers onto that data? I mean, it's a crazy time right now. I think shoppers and consumers will become more educated, but also more impatient. The agent will not wear the pair of sneakers. You will wear them.
Yeah.
So the agent will act on your behalf, but you will dictate it.
Hi guys, very excited today on the Future Skills podcast to introduce you to no other than Alexander Kayser, who has joined us today in order to talk about the consumer behavior. Therefore, a little bit of an introduction. First of all, Alex, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. It's really good to see you again.
Likewise, after decades.
After decades,
Almost,
it feels like
yeah.
God knows decades. Yeah.
Almost, yeah. So to give you guys an intro about Alexander Kayser is an entrepreneur, retail technology pioneer, and the co-founder and CEO of Eoys, a leading platform transforming high street retailers understand consumer behavior inside physical stores. Long before the AI became a mainstream business conversation, Alexander recognized a major blind spot in the retail industry. No other than while online purchases could be tracked and optimized in real time, the vast majority of in-store transactions remained largely invisible. So today, Eoys captured and connects data of billions of products purchased in retail stores globally. To help global retailers connect the digital marketing, the consumer engagement, and also the real-world purchase behaviors through live transaction data and intelligence automation. It's a little bit long, right, all to do, but it is something that represents...
Sounds like we're doing a lot.
quite a bit, isn't it? And for me, what's really important is the fact that you guys have found that niche at the time, right, and then expanded from there on.
Technology has transformed retail dramatically over the last decade or so, offering customers unprecedented ease and convenience when shopping from any device and any location.
80-90% of retail sales happen in the physical world, in brick and mortar, whereas 10-20% happen online. Yet, retail e-commerce is the largest advertising sector around the world, with close to $200 billion spent on advertising every year. And 90% of that is targeted to make all of us shop online or do something online. Whereas the large amount of sales that happen is actually offline. So there's a huge opportunity to connect the two up.
We have a traditional question on the podcast, as you guys already know, and that is, can you please, Alexander, describe in 3 words of your choice, how would you feel that these words are accompanying you alongside in life?
That's a big question. So I would say the 3 words would be roots and wings. It's a bit of a family motto where I believe it's really important to be grounded and stand on earth and know your identity, who you are, while at the same time obviously have the ability and the thirst and the drive to soar and explore, etc. So those were probably the 3 words.
How exciting. So you're starting the journey of describing your 3 words from the family roots, isn't it?
Yes.
What do you think? Because that would be my second question, actually. Yeah. They speak to one another.
Yeah.
With regards to the values, the type of habits, the great moments that have helped you become who you are today, what do you think the family role might have played in this journey, and also some other great moments that you would absolutely put forward for that?
Sure. I think so. I grew up in a entrepreneurial family, so I've seen the ups and downs and all the stories that come with building businesses. And by all means, it's not only easy and good stories always that we see you see it in the media. So I think that influenced me quite a bit, and as a result, also what I've seen other people do. I think one. Or a couple of defining moments early on were one of my older cousins. He was kind of the one in our generation who started, continuing building businesses, and I found that always very cool. And visited him once in New York doing this, and I found it really, really good, and it sparked something in me. But I didn't start immediately to set up a business. My first job was in a startup in Munich, back in Germany, and there, while I was inside this company, I was kind of exposed to the entrepreneurial spirit. It was in the early 2000s, I think those two moments were probably the ones that just enforced that building a business is something I wanted to do.
Oh, cool. So you basically had that environment that you grew up in, right? You've seen, as you said, stories of failure as much as stories of the winning side too, along the side, isn't it? And that's nicely putting us through that door of asking you another question regarding your own entrepreneurial journey. Because when you've come up with the idea for your initial company, the Y Receipts, right? Yes. There was probably no one in the space having this in their mind to be able to solve that problem. And I suppose the curiosity I have that leads me through into this is, what problem were you trying to solve at that time? Because from then on, it grew and grew on, didn't it?
Yeah, it's a while ago. I guess when we started, and I started with two friends here in London. I think when we started, it was all about getting rid of paper receipts.
Yes.
So it was a traditional focus on when you go shopping, you get a paper receipt for your purchase in a physical retail store.
Yeah.
And we thought that's just not really good. Have a paper receipt. So that was the initial story. And then I remember experiencing it in an Apple store on Regent Street for the first time, getting a digital receipt, emailed at the time. And that experience was just so good, not walking out with a paper receipt. It was early on, it was pre-iPad. I remember walking around Upper Street with one of my co-founders, Scott, and interviewing small shop owners, what they would think. There was also a bit of an environmental angle to it. But ultimately, at the beginning, was probably more a convenience, shopper-focused angle to just not have paper receipts. And then from there, I guess the story slowly evolved. We knew that the data behind is obviously interesting, but I guess CRM, digital, everyone in this space had not yet grasped that opportunity. And I guess a real pivotal moment was when Ryan Davis, at the time CRM director at UK's a big retailer at the time, Mothercare, grasped this opportunity, and he said, my God, this is really an opportunity to understand who our customers are in store without necessarily using a loyalty program, which costs money, right? You have to incentivize, give points away. It eats into your margin, and digital receipts suddenly open the door to know who your customer is, what they buy. And as long as you fed that into the systems, that data could start doing things. And that's eventually how we met, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
And I think that was the moment where we said, okay, we need to kind of reposition this from this is cool, this is good for shoppers, etc., to a data story. But it took probably a couple of years because we're very early in the market.
Interesting, because Mothercare used to be quite a very robust and very curious client for us as well over at
really?
Trade Doubler. Yeah,
okay.
It's where I've started back in the days, and I remember working on their account. They were very, very forthcoming. They were looking into the innovations, places to go in the market. So you guys have just filled in, I suppose, their curiosity gap when it came to innovation and understanding the consumer at the time, back in the early days, which is something that I believe is really important, because when the e-commerce were only just starting out, right, the analytical element to it became quite pregnant in terms of everyone wanting to know a little bit more about what's happening with the purchase decisions more so. But at the same time, the retail stores didn't have as much that intelligence, right? So to be able to understand a little bit more about what happens in the real environment in the retail stores was something that wasn't as easy to perceive.
And the retail store, if you recall at the time when people talked about the digitization of the store.
Yes, transformation.
Transformation, exactly, buzzwords. I think what people were mostly talking about were the fancy mirrors and holograms and so on. But it was less about, there's a lot of data trapped in the offline channel. And maybe for the listeners as well and viewers, in retail up until today, the biggest channel is still offline. So it's like wherever you go in the world, 76, 70, 80, 90, almost 100% sometimes of retail sales are still happening in the physical stores. After COVID, we thought that would stay at maybe 40, 50% where it dropped during COVID, but it came back up. And so therefore, at the time, I think people started to understand slowly, all our customers go through the stores. all our revenue goes through the stores, and how can we get our fingers onto that data?
But we're currently transitioning into the age of AI in the commerce space as well, aren't we?
Yes.
And so for that, the consumer behavior is also changing, and you guys are at the front row seat of the consumer purchase behavior offline, as you said yourself. So I'm wondering, in terms of some of the biggest consumer trends that you have spotted, and I know from your LinkedIn posts there were quite a few that you're kind of, transpiring and sharing with the public too, but some of the key trends that you think are there to stay.
Yes. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a crazy time right now, but I think a few years ago we started talking about shoppers not really caring about the channel so much anymore. They just want to find the right product at the right time. And I think with the power of AI, information access, and help for decision making, this is absolutely about to stay. So shoppers are. They do not think in channels anymore, because the AI that we experience right now in conversational tools, Claude, ChatGPT, etc., that's the first stage, right? But it will be embedded everywhere. Your shopping agents, your personal shopping agents, your shared shopping agents, wherever the journey will go. I think that is here to stay, and I think shoppers and consumers will become more educated, but also more impatient. Because we are all used to instant gratification almost of answers.
Yeah.
And I think that is here to stay. And retailers and brands have both a big challenge ahead of them, but also a huge opportunity to tap into this, because the scalability of all of it. So I think what's here to stay definitely is that shoppers will become more and more aware, more and more accessible, and faster in their decision making, because they're now assisted by AI.
In terms of the new trends that you've pointed out to, and the fact that there's still this large opportunity that you guys are tapping into and helping the retailers to be able to gain further more understanding of how the consumers shop offline, we know already that, be it in the US market, and now it's been rolled out in the UK, the marketing ads within the AI recommendation engine have started to be more visible. There are a few more examples. For instance, Zalando has come in the news most recently with their examples of how they're trying to show the actual product ads. So similarly to what back in the days was Google shopping ads, now is the pro ads within the AI. But it's still online recommendations. Do you think at some point it could be possible to do offline recommendations alongside, and to say, this product is available in store in this location because it's closer to your area?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. So I think what we see right now with these ads is a bit what happened when when TV followed radio, where the content on TV was basically the radio content, and it just didn't work. And what we see right now is, okay, let's just put the image into the conversation, the same on the sidebar, like a Google search, which is the natural first step, because that's what we know, and the backend systems are designed to do that, and placing it into conversation versus a search result page is probably not that difficult. But I think the context and the environment in which you show the ad is completely different, because you're in a conversation. It's not intent, I want to find specific product, but I'm in a conversation. Maybe I can be convinced that another product in the conversation is actually better than the one I started the conversation with, etc. So I think it's the first step, and the natural first step for advertisers. In terms of offline, absolutely yes. So I think, this is where we met when you were at Criteo. The offline attribution, the offline signaling is becoming, in my opinion, in our opinion, one of the most valuable and powerful parts of all of this. So connecting the store into the AI context, into the AI conversation is really important. There's obviously a few things there. The data needs to be clean, the data needs to be live, data needs to be connected, the data needs to be contextual, all that. So I think having a conversation with an AI agent, for example, as we know it today, might go something like this. You look for a dress or something else for an event. And normally you're used to then seeing the images and maybe have a bit of a refinement on a website that you then click through.
Yes.
But here you say, oh no, I like this material, that material, and you craft it, you describe the event you're going to, etc. And then the conversation might say, there's a very small boutique shop in London, in this part of town.
That would be smart.
I can, yeah, exactly. Here's the number. I can contact the owner. They can contact you. That sort of stuff will happen. Versus the biggest advertisers have the biggest space, and you
Yes.
click on their link, and then you end on their website and you buy the dress online. So I think that's absolutely going to happen. Yes.
It sounds to me it's more of an expansion of choices, isn't it? If before it would have been mostly this online segment that would be prevalent right there, right? And you would want to choose from what's out there available for the e-commerce part of things. But when it comes to the offline fusion, it becomes furthermore digestible for the choices that you might want to have, right? So
I'd actually, one example. So there was, you're maybe familiar with the NRF retail conference. They just had their APEC version in Singapore, and Google was one of the big sponsors. It was just after they announced the Universal Commerce Protocol expansion, etc.
that you talked about on LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly, that one we get excited about. And so I went to their stand and just wanted to have a chat, and they explained it to me, and it was amazing, like super powerful, obviously polished for a conference demo. And at the end, I asked, so this is amazing. How does this link into offline? And there was like a bit of a blank space. It's like, this makes sense, but online is the easier part. And that's exactly it. Online is the easier part. That's why obviously we start with online, and that should happen. But offline is still such a big place. And as you said, sometimes you want to go in there, and the experience of a brand and of a product is still on the high street. So I think it's going to be amazing, like really, really good. Yeah.
To be fair, in terms of the choices and what you just mentioned, that the online is the easy part, right? You would still want to be able to grasp that intelligence that sits offline. And because offline, where our purchase behavior, as we all know, is very different from what it is online. Yes. Online is probably curated from the choices that are available there. But the offline, you are the driver of your own choices, right? You go where your eyes are spotting something that might be of interest. So with that sort of, the decision-making that you have to do in store, what do you think might be lacking from the data intelligence that could be more made use of with regards to this universal single view?
Yeah, so I think a big challenge that retail has, probably also under other industries, is just the cleanliness of the data. And the data now needs to be really machine readable, to be recommended by an AI agent or understood by a model or made sense of by a model. It obviously needs good data, signaled, fresh, live, contextual, etc. And I think this is probably that challenge that you asked for, that retailers currently still often have silos, offline, online, social. It's not really connected, stitched together maybe.
Yeah.
And some retailers are really good at it, but it's not the majority. So I think it's really important that offline data, so for example, product inventory, product descriptions, product cataloging, pricing, all that stuff is accessible by these models, right? So if you have a conversation about that said dress, it's really important that the model knows that the boutique has the dress in store in order to make the introduction to the store owner. Mm-hmm. And that was already a discussion, when we worked together, and same for Google and Facebook. So having inventory data and understanding, is the product in store is obviously key. But if you're in a conversation, imagine we have a conversation, and I'm a stylist and tell you what to buy.
That was the next question.
Exactly.
Oh gosh.
And we would have a conversation, and I build trust. So the AIs obviously need to build trust in the conversation. And you say, okay, we really trust this, and I might go to this boutique, and then the boutique doesn't have a black dress at all. It's a sneaker boutique or something like that. So that cannot happen. So I think the comparison between what has happened until now, you go to Google, you type in what you want, and you get a result back, and then you make the decision. It's completely different to having a conversation that is rooted also in past conversations, because they build memory and context. They know who you are. Do you remember the dress that you wore like 2 weeks ago? Because I understand the other event. It becomes much more important that the outcome that is then, for example, recommended, go to the shop and buy, is really accurate and rooted in truth. So therefore, offline data and store signaling becomes very powerful, but also really important to be clean and good quality.
I resonate fully with what you're saying regarding the past data and the roots of that, and then linking it up to the consumer profiling. Of course, there are perhaps some considerations with regard with privacy and how is that being stored as well. But I'm sure as we evolve, this segment will be alongside polished. The point that I'm trying to make here is that you talked about the signals that are going to be or are currently also captured in store, but they're going to be furthermore becoming more intelligent, I suppose. Also with regards to curious if there would be a possibility to integrate the signals from, let's say, social channels. Let's say, this example where any given influencer would say, oh, I'm recommending, there were cases like that across Asia in particular that worked really well. We know just one example. I'm not going to mention a brand name for the lipstick, for instance, but it went viral across TikTok. Yeah. All of a sudden, it was one of the premium ones. But that became accessible in terms of its fusion with the online experience as opposed to offline. Now, what if that signal would be available offline and you would actually be pointed to, okay, this is available, here's just out or in the other store?
Absolutely right. And so there's a few examples already popping up in that space. So on social, obviously, usually starts celebrity like endorsement, etc. But there are examples where you could imagine the model or your shopping agent, or however we might call it, in the future understands that you follow a certain celebrity. That celebrity wore a pair of sneakers. The agent remembers that you had a chat about sneakers 2 weeks ago in another context. It starts, hey, have you seen this post? I sourced it. Do you want to try it? I can order it. That sort of stuff will happen. Absolutely agree. And I think it goes beyond social. So it's almost really contextual. It will understand where you are right now, what your schedule is, because it has access to calendars, past conversations. And also what will be interesting, I don't know, this is a hypothesis. I'm not sure whether this is going to happen, but there were in the past a lot of attempts to pool retailers together and say, why don't you just put all your data, all of you, into one pot, and then it becomes more powerful collectively. And everyone was a bit cautious for obvious reasons. But imagine there's an intelligence out there that understands cross-brand, cross-product purchases and so on, and really just curates what you want, and also understands, I have a certain budget, don't bother me all the time with new sneakers because the celebrity posted it, etc. So it goes well beyond just, store signaling. But store signaling, if we bring it back to the retailer who ultimately still wants to sell a product to someone, agent or human, let's see. It's still one of the siloed data signals out there. We need to connect it up.
Absolutely. The connection part is quite pivotal in this case. And when you're talking about the signals that are being collected and all that, I loved how you mentioned that it needs to be also relevant, because what if, the engine might learn that to a given consumer, it is important to showcase celebrity endorsements, but for the other, it could be an irritation-related moment, right?
Exactly.
That you wouldn't want to put that forward as many times or at all even. Yes. So with that in mind, do you believe that there are certain trends that might happen, or they're slightly underrated at the minute, given the fact that the consumers are interacting in such different and distinct way to one another?
So I think the obviously the talked about trend is shopping agents, right?
Yes.
And what is a shopping agent? I think has not yet been defined, or
totally
is you maybe understand it differently than me. But I think a shopping agent ultimately is obviously you as a human having the power of agentic, contextual information and access and power, execution power with you when you buy something. Whether the agent buys it for you and pays, makes the decision, or you make the decision, or you have an approval step in between human in the loop. Thing that is then to be seen, but ultimately I think the trend will obviously go into the direction of the shopper will be much more powerful because suddenly it has the shopper has the ability to access information around the world live. and compare and negotiate and execute and buy. So I think that will obviously transform how we shop. But also what I believe is that humans will still be kind of the final part of giving the direction, right? Because the agent will not wear the pair of sneakers. You will wear them.
Yeah.
So the agent will act on your behalf, but you will dictate the taste and the time, and whether you are guided in that or whether it's a proactive action where you say to the agent something. That's probably indifferent, but I think the human taste, the human intent, the human emotions, everything that comes also with shopping, if it's not, buying your milk, that is probably being automated by a grocery shopping agent, but that will still stay. Yeah.
I love how you're putting the human decision-making first in this case, right? Because the question that I had for you was exactly that, regarding, do you feel that, let's say in 10 years' time, the decisions will be completely automated and passed on to the AI agent to be able to then, source for you whatever product you might be interested in, whatever destination or experience you might be interested in. So it's like talking products and services in tandem. And if that might be the case, then the next question I'd have related to that, what might be becoming of the brand loyalty in that case, right? Because that's one element that might sit in between and needs to be also looked at, regulated. What are your thoughts?
Brand loyalty, I think brand loyalty actually will become more and more important.
Love that.
But less superficial. I need to be careful what I'm saying. So right now, I think brands can still get away with stuff. If you see an ad, a commercial, a content, whatever it might be, how a brand comes to life in your life, it's still aspirational. It's telling a story, and everyone agrees. Yes, it's a story, it's a commercial, etc. But I think in the agentic shopping era, you have still, as I said, the human intent and taste, and this is, I like, I don't know, this type of dress versus that type of dress is still there, but the proof of everything is becoming more and more important. So do ads really tell what the outcome is? And we all know this is currently maybe not the case.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's more and more important that brands essentially are rooted in some sort of truth signals afterwards. So what I told you would happen is actually there. And this could also even go into boring things like inventory. So if I tell you, go and buy this now, I promise you it's there for you. It's really important. But brand loyalty becomes more and more important because, right now our mind knows which brands and what our active set might be. But with agents, you suddenly become aware of thousands, even more brands or availabilities or substitutes also that are accessible and can be sourced through the agent. So it's probably also there's probably a phase of being a bit overwhelmed as a human. So the agents will hopefully help to narrow it down.
Like a safeguarding motion.
Safeguarding motion. And this is also, this is something that we now need to go through, right? As humans, we need to, how do we help that is not happening down the line?
To instruct as well.
It's really important. And I guess this is probably the next year or two where we will see, how do we make it truly workable for the human, but also for the brands, because ultimately they're commercial entities and want to sell their products and need to survive.
Yeah.
So I'd say.
I feel that when it comes to the consumers and the safeguarding motion that we've just discussed, the fact that it needs to happen in a two-way form, the instruction part, the guidance, but as well the type of the input that goes along our way, so that it becomes as quality perceived as possible. There's this element of, and you've touched based on the advertising, that it is still aspirational, and the fact that it still comes along with mostly storytelling in mind, which is definitely to me is also parent and someone who is coming from the advertising space, to me, that element is important. But likewise, what you touch based on the closing the loop of, whereabout you want to make sure that what came out of the experience stands still and it's withstanding over time. So the long tail exists. And for that to happen, that part of the aftermath intelligence needs to come into play.
Yep.
Do you believe, and I'm going to redirect a little bit the question onto your own experiences here, if I may. Out of the billions of receipts that you guys have gotten hold of over time, with millions and hundreds of millions of customers, actually, according to data, that you know a little bit more of their experience purchases that they're making offline. What were some of the key insights that you have gathered and you believe that have absolutely helped the retailers that you guys are working with over time?
So I think the key is that shoppers, again, offline, this is where we are focused, that they came out of an era where you walked out with a paper receipt.
Yes.
And that was it. Here's your product.
Very static,
See you later,
Yeah.
maybe, if you decide to come back.
Yeah.
To now, with a kind of a digitization of that offline shopper experience, being able to continue the journey post that purchase. So shoppers are really willing to go down that route and, interact with, in our case, the digital receipt and inquire more, understand how the product can be used, which other products are available with it, or even give feedback on how the store experience was, right? So shoppers are willing to engage with brands and retailers. And it's not always the data topic, which obviously needs to be safeguarded and, of course, is with systems like ours and following GDPR and everything. But shoppers are really willing to interact and engage with brands post-purchase. And this buzzword of post-purchase activation is really what it is about. If I know that you purchased here, right now, this product, then let's continue the conversation. And it must not be, I just want to sell you the next product immediately.
Yeah.
It must be, I want to make sure that you, shopper, remember me, brand and retailer going forward.
Sure.
But also, not only you, human, also the agent, right? And the AI. So we need to make sure that retailers and or brands look after both now, the human and the agent. So the human is more the intent, the aspiration, and the thing that will not go away, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the agent comes now to the mix. So we need to make sure that they are fed with data, clean data, fresh data, because that's the execution engine almost, and the recommendation engine.
Absolutely.
So I think shoppers are absolutely willing to do this. The new way, I don't know, there will be many ways of doing it. It might be a conversational agent that has a first name that you decide is also taking care of your shopping or shopping recommendations, and then has a sub agent that then shops for you.
Yeah.
I don't know, but they can only interact with you and have a conversations if they're fed with the data, right? And it's not only the data in our case, the purchase, but it's also your data. How do you feel today? Where's your next event? That sort of stuff. And the combination of the two will probably bring along a new type of advertising as well, which might not even be that image next to the conversation, as we say, so radio, TV topic. It might be advertising is maybe subtle changes in the conversation, the recommendation, and bringing in products slowly rather than just blasting and buy this product. I don't know. Yeah.
You've touched base on quite a few angles here, and I was literally honestly, I was literally just cheering because you've mentioned a few things that I really wanted to deep dive on, in particular when it comes to the intelligence stored behind how we feel versus any given purchase, and that goes really deep into the consumer psychology and the behavioral type of purchase, isn't it? That could be absolutely paramount when it comes to the predictive analytics too, so that it becomes more relevant. So to your points on relevancy, accuracy. And with that, the consumer psychology and then the conversational angle attached to it becomes so important, so that the more they talk to one another, the more it becomes probably more optimized, that experience, as opposed to scattered across the board, and then it fine-tunes the advertising, as you said.
You're absolutely right. And just to take it a step further, currently we're just talking about conversations, and maybe you and I or the viewers have in mind right now the experience we have right now, typing or talking, to it. But what will happen is this conversation is rooted on very deep knowledge of you as the human.
Yeah.
Because we are building up memories for your personal Nadia model context, where someone might be in a conversation and the agent obviously know that their wedding is coming up in 2 weeks, or that they're sad, or they had a separation, or they won the lottery, or whatever their current situation is, and the agent has that context, right? And therefore, it's going to be interesting. So right now, a brand or an ad tries to influence you through commercials and content, right? And they try to enhance it through the celebrities and good processes. But right now, that's meeting the human walking around, and in the future, the brands and the retailers will meet still the human with the same taste, etc., but an agent that has full context of this human, which might want to protect the human or not. And so this is going to be very interesting for retail and for many other industries, obviously, in it. But we're gonna see how advertising will shape.
It could be a Pandora box in my head at the minute, right? Because it could be a huge opportunity, because this is like how you approach AI. Are you an optimist or are you pessimist with regards to it, right? Yes. I definitely see a huge opportunity, but at the same time, to your point, it could either protect or not the human being in this case. Yeah. Therefore, it sounds like with the data in mind that we all are at the minute working in the space, it feels that what you're instructed to do, say for instance, maybe your priority is as a shopper that you want to be a little bit more conscious shopper. So with that, you might want to save, right? Yes. So if the saving comes into play, I know that there's tools at the moment, again, won't name them for accuracy, but there are tools that help you, for instance, infuse automatically at the checkout all of those lovely voucher codes, right? Yes. It could be something that the agentic AI will be able to do in future for you, but with the scope of your saving. Or maybe the other scope could be that I want to just feel good, or I want to feel better, you know? And what type of purchases might help me with that, or safeguard me from that? Like, don't buy that thing because it won't make you feel better.
You're absolutely right. I mean, imagine a situation where the agent, it sounds so weird, but your AI context knows that you have gone through a rough patch for whatever reason. I don't know. You failed your exams or whatever it is, and it just comes to you and says, you know what, we talked about this. I don't know, T-shirt, whatever it is. Bad example. A couple of weeks ago, I saw something. I can press a button and buy it for you because you want it, and I think it's good. And our saving plan still works. Your saving plan to, save for something. It's still fine. We can. This sort of stuff will happen, right? And but you're right. This is maybe a positive example, and but we need to understand how to safeguard and govern how these agents work, because ultimately it's mathematics and its algorithms and below. It's not humans behind a computer talking to you. But it's going to be super interesting. We're going very far now, but
we are. But I'm enjoying this simply because you've mentioned here this point of AI suggesting them a T-shirt, or him or her T-shirt at the time when they're feeling down, right? Because it was that intent some time ago, and in the attempt of cheering you up, you could experience that. But what if the bias would be into play, and the intent is no longer there? For them to know if the person might still afford the product or not, they need to have that link to their personal finances and how they work. Yes. And that, again, it seems that either we as humans need to upgrade our know-how in terms of how we utilize AI in order to have that sort of personal finance intelligence AI behind our back to then
Yes.
connect to the savings AI agent so that they can make a bit more of an accurate decision as opposed to the one that would drain us of resources.
Yeah, I think this is you can translate that into a business context as well.
Yes.
So I think in a business context, I think we are now seeing over the next 5 years or so, we're seeing something that is unprecedented, and that is companies will change from being hierarchical, fiduciary legal entities where pooling human labor is cheaper to have an output than it used to be before. Two, companies will need to be organized around knowledge, context, and intelligence. And then the AI will basically be defined as like, what do we want to achieve? And now let's execute it. And that's the same for humans. So if you have an AI, I think we still not really have this terminology right, but if you have an AI as a human that knows you and knows everything about you, and you read about stories out there where people just install OpenClaw and just dump all their life onto the machine and say, okay, now you know everything about me. That's scary on the one end of the spectrum. On the other side, it could be so powerful, right? People are trapped sometimes in jobs for 10 years, and an AI might just help them understand what other options are out there and how to, get to the decision to maybe leave or, other decisions. So I think if AI becomes or remains a silo data thing, then it's not so powerful. If we allow AI to know more about us and have the context about us as humans, then you can empower yourself. But all comes down to there's a transition period. It will take a long time because for a long time we were just on our own in our own head. To download this, and data privacy, all of it comes into it, but it could be quite transformational, that's for sure. Also health, in the health sector, imagine the AI knows everything about your health. What could happen? It's quite powerful.
But we're talking quite a few good scenarios in here, isn't it? In terms of some of the scenarios that are absolutely there and they're needed. And the other scenarios are, to your point, on the safeguarding and, the regulation side that need to talk to one another. You've touched base on the labor market. One of my favorites, actually, because I don't feel that at the moment, neither of us, whoever I'm speaking to, has a definitive recipe, right, as to how to better advise the younger market, as to how to better find the career pathway, or how to position yourself in the skill set environment in such a way that you're relevant, right? Or that you're always relevant, because, something can become obsolete with regards to the skills and the know-how. From what you're seeing, are there any particular skills that you feel the younger people and the one that are changing careers at the moment, because it's both ways, could focus a little bit more of? Like, who would you hire these days, basically?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. So I think maybe if we start from the other side, so what will obviously happen is everything that all skills that are needed for highly automatable tasks are probably less and less relevant, because you can just execute certain things much more efficiently with AI. Human judgment, human taste is still out there. In order to have that, it's a subjective topic on one side.
Totally.
But skills to have as a young person today is probably being able to ask good questions and be curious and be not in the position that we put young people in for many, many decades. You are young, you start, and you just learn now. Observe. We always told them, ask questions, but they don't really do, right? So it's like, observe how we do things, and then you will learn, and eventually you will be more senior, get promoted, etc. So it's generalized, but you know what I mean. Now with the combination of young people are maybe not even in the office, so much anymore. And the AI, I think, is really important to come out and learn and ask questions, because if you ask questions, you get context. If you get context, then the judgment and the human judgment will become much easier and personalized as well at that point, which I think is really important for elevating humans from almost executioners to validators and orchestrators of AI. In terms of job losses, I guess, which is the big topic.
Yeah.
Yes, there will be obviously the ones that people read about, and we've seen this already.
Yeah.
But also, I think, going back to entrepreneurship, it will be an opportunity for a huge wave of people to build businesses or build things on their own. And maybe it becomes a society of fractional employment. I don't know, where you're not assigned to one company, but you work for a few, and you have a few entrepreneurial things on the side. I don't know. But for young people, I think it's really important to just be out there. And also, I mean, be careful what I'm saying here, because I'm of a different generation. But this concept of you company can be lucky that I'm interested in you as a junior person.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be dangerous. Social media topic, attention span, all that stuff goes into it. But I have young kids myself. They're not yet close to employment, but education is another big topic.
100%.
So what do you tell very young kids, or you don't tell them now, but what happens in 10, 15 years when they're at the age of normally you now go to university or somewhere else? Is that still the case? I don't know. But yeah, long answer, sorry.
No. You've planted some good seeds, in terms of, like, we call them food for thought, isn't it? Because we don't expect to necessarily get the full answer here, but because you just point the audience in the direction of further research. And you've just pointed yourself that the ability to ask questions is probably one of the key in this day and age. And I suppose from this point, I can feel it's because I'm lucky. I've got the two angles. I've got the AI who I'm daily asking questions to, and I've got you guys who are coming along on the podcast, and I'm fortunate to be able to ask these questions, right? And to tap into this intelligence. But the younger generations, it's the case of becoming the creative and how you use your creativity to be able to outreach to people that you think might have that answer and still be brave in order to ask that question, even though you might not immediately get the answer, but like get their interest into, you probably, might be interested in what I have to offer if you give me this answer. Things like that, like
Absolutely.
a trade-off if needs be.
I think actually now listening to you, another thing is probably also not to think, which is difficult with the media coverage of AI sometimes, not to think that AI is just taking over your decision power and your humanity, but take AI as something to empower yourself. So, for example, if you take the teenage-aged kids right now, normally they would be trapped in the school system where they all learn the same. And yes, you have a few on the fringes, few different school systems set up, but all learn the same. And then eventually they make a decision what happens after school. But at the teenage age, you already see, in which direction they probably go from a personality perspective and interest. And if you help them in a controlled and playful way to be exposed to AI, not to go down the social media type danger zone, but to get their creativity out of their heads into output. Mm-hmm. So if kids are artistic or creative or love solving riddles or whatever it is, the AI is so incredible to bring this to life and to foster what is happening in their young heads. So I think this is something that as a parent generation, you and I need to consider. And of course, we are all very, very careful because of this, what happened with social media. Yes. But I think AI can be something that helps kids, older kids probably, to just experience that what is in their head can come to life, right? Because sometimes they can't maybe articulate it But with this, they just speak in their own language, what's in their head, and the AI does understand it, and suddenly that image or website or whatever they want to do is on the screen. Right?
Yeah.
So this is going to be good. Yeah.
Like an entrepreneurial school, right?
Yeah.
For the kids in
Yeah.
that sense. Yeah. Thank you so much for the answers, Alex. I feel like we've touched base on the innovation.
Went away from retail a bit. But
yes, but like trying to your point, close the loop, right, with the intelligence, because the intelligence is probably the key topic that we've touched base on here today, from going from shopping to a little bit more deep dive into the feelings area as well, and ultimately the labor market. And because we've got a tradition on the podcast to wrap it up with a little bit more of a gaming experience, which is the Flash Q&A. Right. I'm going to ask you a few questions, but please feel that you can release them intuitively in form of a short answer, completely unscripted, just as you feel it.
Okay, let's see. Don't interpret me afterwards.
No problem. Yeah, no interpretation. Going ahead. Are we ready? Drum roll?
Yes, let's go.
Cool. First one. Building a company today feels?
Feels like building a plane that is on a moving runway. And you don't know which direction this runway is pointing to, but you have to build the plane.
Thank you. I love the accountability there. You still have to. Thank you. The biggest mistake founders make is?
To think they have to start with a super polished product.
Thank you. Consumer behavior is becoming?
Impatient.
Love that. That's totally true. The future of shopping is?
Exciting.
Great leaders are?
Empowering the people around them.
Can't agree more. The best business decision I ever made was?
To start.
The skill young people underestimate most is?
To ask questions.
There you go.
Just close the loop.
Yeah, thank you. Curiosity is?
Very important.
Success today means?
Learning faster than things evolve around you.
One thing AI will never replace is?
Human courage.
If I were 20 years old again, I would focus on?
Whoa, that goes deep. I would focus on asking more questions. Just avoided that one.
Yeah. The biggest opportunity in retail right now is?
Connecting the store to the AI world.
And we're actually very close to a few seconds, so I'm going to make use of them. The biggest threat to business today is?
Not understanding that AI is not an automation tool, but they have to organize their businesses around intelligence, using AI for it.
Human intuition is?
Surviving.
The one skill I would teach every teenager is?
To ask questions.
On that. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Pleasure meeting you today as well.
Thank you.